It is the Braves and the Cubs game 2 of 3 from the unfriendly confines based off of the way the game went yesterday for the Braves. But anyway, game 2 of 3 from Wrigley Field as the 37-28 Braves take on the 24-40 Chicago Cubs. Kyle Wright getting the ball for the Braves today. He is 7-3 with a 2.57 ERA. He'll be opposed by Justin Steele for the Cubs, who's 1-5 with a 4.33 ERA. I'm Jack Hunter giving you all of your notes as we head to first pitch in about 40 minutes from Chicago. A weird game yesterday. First time since 1999 that a team with a double-digit losing streak has beaten a team with a double-digit win streak. The Braves' 14-game winning streak was snapped yesterday, one shy of tying the franchise record. The Cubs' 10-game losing streak snapped as well. It was a pitcher's duel yesterday, an encouraging sign. Charlie Morton, I talked about this a little bit on the show yesterday. He has been pitching a lot better as of late, and that continued. He had his best start of his career, 7 innings, 3 hits, 0 runs, 9 strikeouts. It was only the 6th time in his career, in a span, like his career has gone over 300 starts, so 6 times in 300 starts, that he has thrown 7 or more innings, 0 runs, 9 or more strikeouts. So one of his better starts of his career. I mean, he struck out the first 4 batters he faced. He was dominant yesterday. That's a great sign for the Braves. But on the other side, Keegan Thompson was also great. 6 innings, 2 hits, 9 strikeouts. He had a great start yesterday. He was great as a reliever, really bad as a starter, and turned on the reliever mode yesterday. And it was great for David Ross's Cubs. The Braves left 8 guys on base, including 3 in the last inning because they had the bases loaded with 2 down. Arcia smoked one to first that was fielded for the game. Arcia also struck out with 2 runners on the 7th inning. So a little bit of a tough blow for Orlando yesterday. He's responsible for 5 out of those 8 guys that the Braves left on base. I think a huge story of that game yesterday, too, was the wind. The wind was blowing in 10 to 15 miles an hour. The Braves had 3 balls that at least 2 of them would have been homers at Wrigley if the wind wasn't blowing in, or just at really any other stadium. Ozuna and Acuna both hit shots. Swanson also hit one, too. That was a little murkier, but anyway, the Braves hit some hard balls that were knocked down by the wind yesterday. The wind is blowing in today, pretty much the same mile per hour, about like 12 according to the weather that I was reading. So the Braves have got to figure out a way to score other than the long ball. They hit 35 home runs in the midst of that of win streak of 14 games. So they really just lived by hitting bombs. But let's see today if they can hit some more line drives. Maybe play some more ABC baseball, because unless they just nuke some baseballs, which they might because they have been, it may be hard to get the ball out of the park. Let's get a little scouting report on the Cubs starter today, Justin Steele. So I told you his record's 1-5 and his ERA is 4.33. That may seem like he's not been good, but I think that doesn't really tell the full story. Let's dive into that now. He's 26 years old, and he's first among starting pitchers in barrel percentage. So a barrel per StatCast is when a ball is hit 98 miles an hour or harder. He has only allowed 2 of those this year, which is tied for the lowest among starting pitchers with Alex Cobb, but he has had more batted ball events, so there's been more balls put in play against him than there has been versus Alex Cobb. So he has the lowest barrel percentage out of any starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, which is great for him. Not great for the Braves, though. He's got a fastball that's in the mid-90s that he throws almost 60% of the time, and he also throws a slider as a secondary pitch too. He mostly is fastball slider. He mixes in a changeup a little bit and then a sinker a little bit, but he's going to be pumping fastballs and pumping sliders, and he's gotten a lot better as the year has gone on. He had a 5.50 ERA in April, 5.32 in May, and he's pitched 14 innings and he's given up 2 runs to a tune of a 1.29 ERA in the month of June. His last 2 starts have been fantastic. One against San Diego, one against St. Louis. 7 innings, 1 runs in both of those starts. And the San Diego start, which is his last start, was really weird. The Cubs ended up losing that game. Yu Darvish, if you remember that game, Yu Darvish pitched against the Cubs, against his former team, and just had a great start. But he threw 77 pitches in 7 innings. 60 for 77 of them were strikes, and it was a weird game. It was a rain delay, so he had to wait like an hour and a half to get out on the mound, and then he got hit on his index finger in the first inning by a hard ground ball and stayed in the game even though he was bruised, which just seems very hard to do. So he that makes his start way more impressive, in my opinion, to an already great start. He's given up only 5 runs in 19 innings pitched since a meltdown last month, where he gave up 7 runs in 2 innings to the Reds when the Reds won that game 20-5. So back to that barreled statistic, only 1.2% of batted balls that he has allowed this year have been hit 98 miles an hour or harder. So he's not giving up hard hit balls. His FIP, if anybody's aware of that, fielding independent pitching, pretty much measures strikeouts, walks, home runs, hit batters, stuff that doesn't involve the fielders. It's much lower than his ERA, suggesting that he's good at keeping the ball in the park, and he's not going to walk too many batters, and he's going to strike out a few amount of batters. But the Braves have been really good against lefties this year, though, which I think is going to be interesting. They're 16-6 in games started by lefties and have a really good slash line against left-handed starters. It's actually their best slash line compared to like just versus right-handed starters versus right-hand pitchers in general, left-hand pitchers in general, home, away, you name it. Like their best slash line is when they're facing left-handed starting pitchers, and they're 16-6. They've got a lot of good right-handed hitters, obviously, so that makes sense. Kyle Wright's getting the ball for the Braves today. 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs in his last start versus Pittsburgh. It was a little bit of a shaky start for him. He threw 79 pitches, though. He could have gone out for the 7th inning, but with 2 lefties due up for the Pirates, the Braves went to Will Smith in the bullpen, and it paid off. He got the win. The Braves won that ball game versus the Pirates. He pitched one time versus the Cubs earlier this season. Probably his best start of the year. 7 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts on the 28th of April in a 5-1 victory. He's been Mr. Steady Eddie for the Braves this year. Only one start of his 12, he's given up over 3 runs. So he's done really well and just being consistent every time he goes out there. The only thing that's been a little bit of a knock on him has been walks. He's had a little bit of issues with walks. He's given up 3 or more walks in 4 of his 12 starts, so sometimes he doesn't really have the command. But I expect Kyle to have a good start today because very friendly conditions at Wrigley. Neither team has really seen these starters very much. Dansby Swanson's the only one that has an at-bat on this roster right now against Justin Steele. And obviously the Cubs have seen Wright a little bit because he started that game versus them earlier in the season, but they still don't have that many at-bats versus him. So I think the pitchers definitely have the advantage in today's game. I'm expecting another low-scoring game. The wind is blowing in, so the ball is probably going to get knocked down in the outfield as well. But looking for the Braves to bounce back today. Yesterday was a tough loss, but it was one of those things where it was a little bit unlucky. They're hitting the ball hard. They had opportunities to score with runners in scoring position. They just couldn't. Charlie Morton gave them a great start, and the Cubs got a small ball run, sacrifice bunt, stolen base, sac fly. So anyway, the Braves are looking to bounce back. 2:20 first pitch. Kyle Wright gets the ball for the Braves. I'm Jack Hunter, Atlanta Braves pregame show. Appreciate you watching.